She was the dark one. Black hair like a waterfall of night, eyes as green as Dorothy's Emerald City. That was one of Violet's favorite books. "Concentrate, Vi," she scolded herself. Magic like this did not abide distraction. Warlock magic wanted all of your attention for itself. Hell, it wanted all of you. One slip and its darkness slid past the boundaries of a spell to disappear out into the world. That was the last thing the world needed more of. But this spell was a particularly dangerous one. It had come straight out of the tome of Wolfram Lovelace, a warlock who'd lived millennia ago. Violet was unlike other Fae in many ways, the use of non-Fae magic being only one of them. Using warlock magic in particular was of course very different. But just as not all unseelie were evil, Violet knew that not all warlocks were inherently bad. In fact, she had heard of quite a few good warlocks, mages using their magic for the general betterment of the world rather than its detriment. The Warlock King was a good example, in fact. Violet had nothing against warlocks in general, and fortunately for her, her tutor in the magical arts, La Lure Chantelle, didn't seem to either. The old witch had never given Violet a hard time for wanting to learn that branch of magic. She'd never judged. Violet was beyond grateful for this, because warlock magic had an edge to it that she felt she could truly understand. It was dangerous, yes, but it was also deep. Like a shadow at midnight, endlessly dark and filled with possibility. In fact, Violet often felt there was a kind of dark magic people hadn't yet touched upon. She dreamed there was a spell out there somewhere in that darkness, just waiting for someone special to figure it out, to bring it to life, and breathe it into magnificent existence. She wanted to be that person. She wanted to be that person so badly. It was what she knew she'd been made for. It was the reason she studied as she did, read as she did, and practiced as she did. She'd heard one of her Tuath friends say something once. Darkness is the prettiest color. She'd been talking about Tuath Fae, of course. But Violet heard something else with those words. She saw the shadow they cast, and wanted to jump in. And so darkness wasn't bad, no, not as such. But just like with anything, as warlocks went, some were worse than others, and Lovelace had been the worst. Using dark magic was always tricky, but using Lovelace's magic was a deadly gamble. Still, it was the only way to peer through the particular veils Violet needed to see through right now. She chewed on her bottom lip, narrowed her gaze, furrowed her brow, and leaned in, to see past the reflection on the blood surface. Slowly, another image took shape. When it formed fully, Violet very slowly straightened. A coldness swept through her, tightening her skin into goosebumps. She's in the dark. Few knew that she'd trained herself in various forms of non-Fae magic, including the warlock spell she'd just utilized to locate her sister. A Fae warlock. Was there such a thing? Well, she guessed there was now. Her gut churned, her head began to throb.
"The dark, huh? You don't want to go there,"
said Pie in his crackly voice from where he bounced in the hearth across the room.
"No, you don't want to go there,"
corrected Poppy, Violet's best friend, and the only other Fae aware of Violet's magical dealings.
"No light, no heat."
Poppy shook her head.
"No wonder. But we're not fire elementals."
Poppy's given name was Persephone, but because she hated being compared to the Greek goddess, and because she loved picking poppies, everyone had called her Poppy since childhood. She seemed stubbornly oblivious to the fact that picking poppies caused her to resemble Persephone even more. She turned back to Violet.
"I'll go with you, Vi."
Violet had known she would offer, but she also knew she couldn't allow it.
"The road to the dark is paved with shadows,"
she said aloud, quoting an old Fae nursery rhyme.
"That means you actually have to travel through the land of shadow to get